Welcome to an episode of r/slash malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. Sit back and enjoy these stories, and at the end of this video, make sure to like and comment, and definitely subscribe if you have not already done so. Enjoy. And this story is posted by u/Joshi89. Write down all of my downtime? You got it. This happened about a month ago. I worked at a plant that makes parts for a very known car manufacturer plant. My workplace is very picky about efficiency and your parts per hour. I work on a 3-person line, and on that particular line, we have the 2 people load the parts together and the robots weld them together, resistance weld, and they send it to the person in the middle to load it to be MIG welded by another sets of robots, then inspects the parts, then puts them on a rack to be sent to another line. If there is a bad weld, that person has to MIG weld repair the part if possible. Because of certain sickness, we had to readjust on how we would work to keep everyone and self-check ourselves before going to work, and had to report any symptoms. And no, they do not check the employee's temperature, only ask them at the door. One day, I had a very bad cough that turned into a sore throat and a runny nose. So I went to the EHS, Environment, Health and Safety, office to report my symptoms. And since I didn't have any of the other symptoms, I was approved to continue to work but must wear a mask at all time, go figure, and giving me a bunch of cough drops. Remember how I said that we have 3 people on my line? Well, we have been struggling with the attendance since we went back to full production, about 80 to 90% attendance. And so we only gotten 2 people on that line until we get more people to show up for work. So we have to do the job for 3 people with just us 2, which is possible, but can't run as fast. For reference, with 3 people, we can easily run over 60 parts per hour, but just 2 people, we barely get over 40 parts. Plus, I had to blow my nose every 15 to 30 minutes and sucking on cough drops one after another. Eventually, the coordinator came to me and asked me about why I wasn't hitting my numbers, and of course I mentioned about the lack of a person and I wasn't feeling well. So then he looked at my downtime paper, where I must write down all of my downtime, including breaks and lunch. Then he asked me why I didn't write anything down. I told him that I was very busy with trying to run as much as possible. He was having none of it and demanded that I write down all of my downtime. I was very mad, but I decided to let the malicious compliance kick in. I took the downtime and write down the EH visit, then continue to fill out the paperwork to include 1 minute of downtime of every time I blow my nose and 1 minute for every time I had to unwrap and insert a cough drops. Also included the time I was stopped and talked to the coordinator and the time it took me to write down my other downtime. By the end of the shift, I filled the entire downtime sheet, and because we have to share the same downtime with the night shift, they had no room to write down anything, and they have to turn it in to the team leader at the end of the night to be turned into the office where they have to go through them. In the next few days, I was expected to be called into the office or asked about the paperwork, but that never happened, nor was it brought up in any meetings. Nobody said anything about it, but the coordinator was a lot more respectful to me, and we get along well, and eventually they were able to hire someone to run our line with us. I know the malicious compliance was petty and very childish, but it felt good and turned out better than I expected. And this story is posted by u/Writing Raven. Karen's lie gets backfired. Restaurant story. So I had a job at the same fast food restaurant off and on for a total of 5 years, and in these years, I have witnessed so many entitled parents and kids and malicious compliance stories that I can write a book about it. I will start with this one. Also, sorry for some bad grammar. Some backstory. I started my job in the same moment the restaurant was set up, so in these years I got to know a lot about the company itself and knew most of the locations. I also knew that our restaurant was the most north restaurant in the country, and the province next to us, let's call it Province L, had no restaurant within the franchise. Not every employee knew this, but I did. I also knew that when we had new products that needed to get tested by the community, this would be at restaurants in the capital of the country, capital restaurants, and my province and Province L were nowhere near these restaurants. Because of my experience and bond I had with my employees and customers, the managers knew that I did not need help with crazy customers only when I called them. On to the story. There was a new vegetarian option tested only in the capital restaurants. Not every customer knew this, so when they asked for the product, I explained that we were not part of the test group. I always got a good response to this until this happened. On a not-so-busy night, a young Karen walked in and bolts for my cash register. The conversation went something like this. Me, with a polite tone, welcome to, name restaurant, how can I help? Karen, I want your vegetarian option now. Me, sorry miss, only the capital restaurants belong to the test group. Sadly, we don't serve this option yet. Karen screaming, you are lying. I had it yesterday at Province L, and they told me it was served everywhere, so I want it. And since the customer is always right, you need to serve me what I ask. And that's where I placed my trap card. We cashiers get yelled at a lot, but since I knew that she was lying or mistaking us for another restaurant and yelling, I decided to play along. Me, oh, I'm so sorry. I was confused with another product. I haven't had the sandwich yet. Is it any good? Karen, I really liked it, and I'm happy that you finally have a vegan option for the sandwiches. We already had that. Me, I see. There is only one problem. You see, I know for a fact that Province L doesn't serve any of these sandwiches. Even better, none of our restaurants are in Province L. Karen's face became red, but not from shame. Ooh, no, from anger. Karen screaming, don't have that tone with me. I want to speak to your manager. So I called my manager. Trap card activated. You see, I knew that my manager was in the kitchen, out a few from customers, and I knew that when Karen started screaming for the first time, my manager would listen in. Manager with a large grin. What seems to be the problem? Karen, your employee has an attitude. I want a discount. Me, Karen wanted to order the vegan option that she ordered at our restaurant at Province L. Manager grabbed his phone and showed Karen the list with all the restaurants and all the provinces. And what a surprise, Province L was not on there. Manager, you see, it might be the case that you mistaken us with another franchise. In that case, I would not do anything. But since you started to yell at my employee, I would ask you to get the hell out of my restaurant, or do you want me to call security? Karen's face was priceless. With both anger and convulsion, she stormed off. But not before I told her to have a nice day. And this story is posted by u/mpx73. Oh, I'll fill your donut, lady. Backtrack to 1987. Times were good, jobs were plentiful, and little 14-year-old me walked into a job as a bakery assistant. Even the 4:30 a.m. starts didn't put me off. I rolled in every Saturday morning and worked like a trooper. About 2 months in, someone complained about their donut not having enough jam in. I wasn't responsible for this, but the lady was having none of it and demanded a new one, full this time, not like the last one. Well, okay then. In the back of the bakery was the donut filling machine. It was like a jam vat with the spike and a pump handle. I took an already filled donut and put 3 more pumps in. It was quite round, another pump, and it was looking pretty much fit to burst. Back at the counter, the lady was looking impatient, so I hurriedly placed the weaponized donut in a box, gave it to her, apologized, and off she went. The car park was visible from the shop. She made it back there before opening the white box and taking out the sugary goodness she asked for. I saw her bite it and recoil in absolute horror as the donut exploded all over her blouse. I laughed my head off. The shop owner found it less funny, but realized the irony of it. For a moment, I thought she was going to come in and complain, but she obviously realized she'd gotten exactly what she asked for. She never complained again, but I was also never ever trusted with the donut filling machine again either. And this story is posted by u/mbendixon85. All candy is delicious. Backstory. I'm really close with my neighbors as we live in apartments with assistants and have access to staff 24/7. Most of us live normal lives. We just need some extra help in our day-to-day lives. Ages range from 20 to 60, both male and female. Like me, female, 35 years old. We are offered coffee every day, sandwiches at 6, and dinners on weekends, and have a common room and dining room and a huge TV and comfy couches. But of course, there's rules to hanging out there. No alcohol, smoking, the volume on a reasonable level, etc. We hang out a lot. Some are my closest friends and some I don't really like, but we're all friendly with each other, borrow sugar from each other, and the like. One of the neighbors is John, the most stubborn person I've ever met and a rule follower to the teeth that was made when he moved in 5 years ago. Anything new, he flat out refuses, and he doesn't listen to anyone, not even the staff. He's annoying to everyone, but he loves food, especially sweet stuff, candy, cake, pie, cookies, ice cream. Here, he happily breaks rules by taking more than the allotted cookies and begging to get a neighbor's if they don't eat them quickly enough. One day, I had bought the jelly bean game where 50% is disgusting, and I was showing them to my friends in the common room. We ate the good ones after carefully making sure by smelling and taking tiny bites to be safe. John came over, interrupting our conversation, and asked. I said no, he wouldn't like these. All candy is good. And he asked again and stared us down. He wouldn't leave without candy. You all know what happens next. I gave him a handful, and he sat down at another table with his coffee, cookies, and jelly beans. He ate a few before he got a bad one. He struggled a bit, confused of why candy tasted like rotten fish or skunk or dirty socks. But all candy was good, and he could not admit he had been wrong. He had to eat them all, even after I explained the game. He's stubborn. After 5 minutes of us begging him to throw them away, he agreed to save them for later and put them in his pocket. Oh man, those were 4 great stories. To hear the best stories of the week, click on the video in the top left-hand corner. To hear more Reddit stories all related to what you just heard, click on the video in the top right-hand corner. And if you have not already done so, click on the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. Once again, this is TNA, Top Notch Audio. Thank you for listening and have yourself a great day.